Hello folks, now quite some time ago I did a video about salary sacrifice and I haven't updated it for a while, and I know there are a lot of people that watch my channel for their leasing content, and some of those people will have salary sacrifice schemes available to them. So I'm going to talk about how salary sacrifice works, and then I'm going to show you some real world examples, and that's thanks to one of you actually. Massive thanks to 𝑘𝙗𝙉𝙆𝙎 for sending me over some example quotes from his employer's scheme. And we'll break that down and take a little look at those in a little bit of detail later on in the video. Firstly, salary sacrifice is a way of being more tax efficient, basically. So essentially, say your employer pays you £40,000 a year and you want to lease a car that's going to cost you £5,000 a year. That £5,000 is taken from your salary before tax to pay for that car. What that means is you're not paying tax on the salary and then having to pay for the car. So it essentially saves you money. So it's going to save you 20% if you're a 20% taxpayer, 40% if you're a 40% taxpayer. And obviously 40% is a lot of money. Now you have to take that as a company car. So that means you're going to get hit with benefit in kind. There's a video up there, I think, about company car tax. It's a little bit old now. The numbers are a tiny bit out of date, but it will give you an idea of how it all works at least. I strongly suggest you check that out. On an EV right now, you don't pay a great deal of company car tax. The amount you pay is going up every year. And once significantly more people are in electric cars, you can bet your bottom dollar that the goalpost will change and you'll start to pay a lot of company car tax. But at the moment, the sun is shining, so if you've got a salary sacrifice scheme available to you, it might be the time to make hay. Now, because this helps you be more tax efficient, it's far more beneficial for a 40% taxpayer than it is for a 20% taxpayer. And you'll see that when we actually come to look at the quote. And essentially, it's because you're saving more tax if you're a 40% taxpayer than if you're a 20% taxpayer, because you're paying twice as much tax as the other person. So keep that in mind. If you're a 20% taxpayer, the difference between getting a car on a salary sacrifice scheme and perhaps doing it privately by leasing privately might not be an amazing saving. You might actually be worse off. There are a few things to consider as well when you're looking at salary sacrifice. Generally, it's zero deposit, so no upfront payment. Generally, it's going to include insurance because it's a company car. You can often have an additional driver on the car. Some employers may restrict that. You'd have to sort of check the terms of your particular scheme. Servicing and tyres is almost always included. There might be a little bit of an uplift to pay if you want that done with a main dealer, or you want more premium tyres or anything like that. And then some of them also give you lifestyle cover or redundancy cover. That covers you for all manner of things, but redundancy is the key one. So if you were to lose your job, the car simply goes back and it doesn't cost you anything. And then some of them will give you things like 500 quid towards any end of lease charges if you've damaged the car in any way. I'll do an updated video on end of lease charges at some stage, by the way, folks, but all the people that are scared to death of it, don't be. Look after the car. The charges are far more reasonable than they used to be. And the BVLRA, I think that's the right way around, guidelines give you really, really clear guidelines as to what's acceptable and what's not. And getting things put right, if they are wrong, sometimes less than you think it's going to be. But as I said, another video on that at a later date. So let's have a look at some of these examples. 𝑘𝙗𝙉𝙆𝙎 has been kind enough to send me quite a few through. So one thing to point out before we get too far into this is that the salary sacrifice schemes are always basically tied. So your company will be tied to a particular company for their salary sacrifice scheme, and that company administers everything for them. So say your mate has got a salary sacrifice scheme with one company, you've got one with another, and your mate can get a better price than you. That's just hard luck, I'm afraid. You're stuck with the salary sacrifice provider that your employer works with. Now, the company in question on this scheme is called Tusker, and from what I've seen, their pricing is really quite impressive. As you know, people sometimes pay and have a call with me to talk about car-related things, and someone was showing me another salary sacrifice scheme just a few days ago, and it was way more expensive than this and didn't include that lifestyle cover from what we could see. So they do vary a lot. So don't think salary sacrifice is always going to be the best way to go, because it's not. So looking at this one, the Nissan Ariya, 439 quid a month is the monthly net amount. And you can see how the numbers work a bit easier with this slide. So the monthly gross reduction, so this is the amount that your gross pay is being reduced by, is £711. You've then got an income tax saving. Now, this chap is a 40% taxpayer, so he's saving £284 a month from his income tax. That's what he normally would have paid in income tax on that amount of money. That's 711 quid. Then he would have paid £14 national insurance on that as well. And then his benefit in kind, which is company car tax, if you like, is going to cost him 26 quid a month. And that means that £711 a month deal is actually only going to cost him £439. That includes all service and maintenance, fully comprehensive motor insurance for you and one additional driver, annual road fund licence, replacement tyres, accident management, which I would personally never use because it feels like ambulance chasing to me, roadside assistance including European cover, and lifestyle protection. The lifestyle protection, it covers all kinds of things, but the predominant one is that redundancy cover. So that's 439 quid a month. Now, we have seen some fantastic private lease deals on Ariyas, and it may be that your scheme doesn't offer you as many of those different benefits, and it costs more. But on the face of it, for a 40% taxpayer on this particular scheme, it looks like a very good deal. Now, let's just think, if you're a 20% taxpayer, that income tax saving of 284 quid is immediately halved. So you're only going to be saving £142. So that same car with those same things is going to cost you £581 a month. And that's a big difference. At that point, I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. Certainly depending on where you live and your driving history and all that kind of stuff, it could end up being quite a bit cheaper to do a personal lease and just pay for those other bits and bobs personally. Let's look at another one here. It's the 𝐺WM 3. That's £310 the monthly net cost to a 40% taxpayer. And as we see there, that's saving you £199 a month. So it's going to cost you 409 quid a month if you're a 20% taxpayer. And again, considering some of the deals that are around on the 𝙼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝑼𝙏, it's probably not the most amazing thing to go for when it's costing you over 400 quid a month, even though you do have insurance, servicing, etc. all included. It certainly is going to require a fair bit more thought, is it not? Tesla Model Y is going to be a massively popular one on salary sacrifice, £567 a month. Again, this is as a 40% taxpayer. £371 is the amount of tax you're saving that's going towards that 567 final figure. So if you're only a 20% taxpayer, that's costing you 750 quid a month. Bear in mind that I think still at the time I'm recording this, you can get the Model Y for 400 quid a month, although you do have to put £3,000 down. I think you could possibly do a lot better than that as a 20% taxpayer if you're in the market for one of those cars. The other thing, of course, that you're going to have to establish with your employer is how is this going to affect your pension contributions? If they start paying you a lot less into your pension, but you're saving a few quid on a car right now, is that the best thing to be doing? So look into that, see how the employer deals with it and see how that gets handled. And then also, you've got to think about your mortgage applications and things in future. Are they basing it on your salary, multiple of your salary? Are they basing it on your take-home pay? All these things get taken into account. And yes, you could say, well, if I leased a car or something instead, or had a car on finance, that gets taken into account. But these are all the kind of things that you need to be thinking about and possibly discussing with your scheme provider or your contact at your employer, because these things all look very nice and shiny, but they certainly deserve a little bit of consideration and a little bit of extra thought. If you're a 40% taxpayer and you want to get into an electric car, then a salary sacrifice scheme can be very, very good. I've also seen some very expensive examples in the past, and some that don't include some of those nice to have covers and things. If you're a 20% taxpayer, it seems less attractive more times than it doesn't, if I'm being completely frank. But I hope some of you find that of use. Obviously, if you are interested in doing private leasing, there's tons of leasing content on my channel. Every month I do 3 videos highlighting the best lease deals available to you as a private individual. And when other fantastic deals pop up from time to time, I always get a quick video out on those as well. So make sure you're subscribed. I'm after 50,000 subscribers this year, so please help me make that happen. And if you are subscribed, click the notification bell, because when those amazing sort of last minute deals pop up, you want to be one of the first to see it if you're in the market for getting yourself a new lease car. Because sometimes the deals are phenomenal, but when they're phenomenal, they go very, very quickly, 9 times out of 10. So make sure you're one of the first to know about it. There is a link to Lease Loco in the video description as well. That helps support the channel if you click through that and go and have a poke around on Lease Loco. No point, by the way, folks, in saying to me, can you find out what a salary sacrifice price will be on this, that, or the other? You simply have to get it from your employer. I don't have access to your employer's salary sacrifice scheme. It's just that one lovely chap that watches the videos decided to do a bit of donkey work for me, sent me over some things just so I could make this video. I hope you find it useful. I hope it's maybe answered a couple of questions for you and certainly given you a little bit of food for thought. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.